Hello, it's Alex here again from Headland Amenity. I'm going to run you through one of our more technical presentations, which gives you an insight into why turf diseases are becoming so difficult to adequately control, with particular focus on Microdocum nivale, commonly known as Fusarium patch. We'll have a look at some of the factors that influence the activity of this particular pathogen, how we can reduce the effects using non-pesticidal methods, and we'll talk a little bit here about Headland's 2020-30 mix and give you an idea of what this relates to. Finally, we'll have a quick look at what may help if you do end up reaching for a fungicide in terms of improving efficacy. Okay, before we begin, here are a few terms that I'll use during this video that you may not have heard of. Headland Amenity's Technical Director, Mark Hunt, writes a weekly blog on the weather and how it relates to turf managers. There are reference and graphics that I will refer to. Growth potential is quite a complex mathematical equation that gives you an expression where 1 equals optimum growth and 0 equals no growth. It's basically a way of quantifying growth so that you can make comparisons. Growth degree days is a way of measuring plant growth year on year that originally came from the farming world and has been adapted for turf scenarios. Fortunately, you can use Headland Amenity's Growth Degree Day Excel file to calculate all this for you. Details on how to subscribe to Mark's blog and how to locate the Growth Degree Day file will be linked at the end of this video and in the description below. It's likely that anyone now managing turf in the UK will be aware that warm air periods now extend further into the year. You may even remember February 2019, where much of the UK had a week of t-shirt weather. This can lead to spikes in growth, and if we take various sites across the UK, Wisley in Surrey, the Oxfordshire self-explanatory, the Grove in North London, Ashbury in the West Country, the Belfry in the Midlands, Long Ashton is Bristol Way, Woburn in Northamptonshire, St Andrews on the east coast of Scotland, and York, we can see that by mapping daily growth potential, although the values may differ slightly, the trends are largely the same, and 6 peaks of growth can be noted. Not all of these will bring disease pressure though. Atlantic low pressure systems often bring high rainfall, and as there is no static water to sit on the leaf, unlike when we get dewy still conditions, this is not always a problem. These increases in growth can directly affect the longevity that we might expect to see from a fungicide, of course. Maybe it's because we're cutting more often and therefore removing some of the product that sits within the leaf, or maybe the plant has simply used it all up. If we tot up the growth potential for our site and use the figure as 10 as a point at which fungicide would lose efficacy, an application on the 1st of October in 2017 and 2018 would have run out by the 14th of that month. If, however, we chart the same data for 2016, that first of the month application would have lasted 26 days. In fact, growth levels were so high in 2017 that a second application after the initial one would have nearly run out too. If we take some UK obtained Microdocum and plate it up in the lab, by exposing it to different temperatures, we can see that this pathogen is very well suited for low temperature scenarios, growing at 55% of its full potential at 8 degrees C. What may be a surprise though is that there is still enough growth right down as 0 degrees centigrade. This means that although the development is checked at this point, it's far from being eradicated. Many of you will remember the period between Christmas and New Year 2018, where warm air and light winds came up from the south, giving lengthy periods of leaf wetness, humidity, and higher overnight air temperatures. By taking data from this site in Northamptonshire, UK, disease activity modelling indicates 3 periods of initial infection over this autumn and winter period. You can see the Christmas and New Year period clearly in the third one. This then gave rise to a further 5 periods of reactivity around existing scars. Headland Amenity's thoughts therefore have turned to, if we can stop the initial infection, then surely we can prevent all the subsequent reactivity. So what can we do to impact Microdocum without reaching for a fungicide? Well, in order to live and grow, all sides of the disease triangle must be present. Our host, of course, is the grass plant. The pathogen in this case is our old foe Microdocum nivale, and the environment is the part that we can actually influence, both on the surface of the leaf and within the leaf itself. To that end, Headland have been concentrating its research efforts for some time in this area. So the starting point was, does the pH on the leaf surface have any effect? If we take our pathogen obtained from a UK source and plate it up in the lab, we can see that as we progress further away from neutral on both the acidic and the alkaline side, we can affect its ability to thrive. This is most notable on the acidic side though, where a pH of 4 and below has a noticeable effect. For many years, Headland has worked to make its product range intercompatible so that different products can be safely mixed to give a better result than would be seen from the single product. The three products here, Seamac Proturf FE, Liquid Turf Hardener and Turfite Elite, have been around for some time, with recent updates improving their efficacy. It is though when they are mixed in the ratio of 20 litres a hectare, 20 litres a hectare and 30 litres a hectare that they form something of an elixir to the plant, but also a hostile leaf surface for our pathogen. This mix has come to be known as Headland's 20-20-30 mix. Using low temperature available nitrogen sources, seaweed, phosphite, salicylic acid, calcium and magnesium, it serves our plants' needs in many ways that we'll discuss in the next few slides. The recent addition of Mantle adds zinc, manganese and harpin protein, which enables the plant to continue to grow under external or abiotic stress. Drought would be an example of this. And if you mix the 20-20-30 mix in 400 litres of water, which is at 7.5 pH, the eventual tank mix is 4 to 4.5 in the pH scale, and that is that crucial point that we mentioned in the previous slide. Using this representation of a plant leaf, we can see our pathogen spore and the hyphae that it sends out to try and access its potential host. Here's where the products do their work. Both Seamac Proturf FE and Mantle help to create the hostile environment on the leaf surface that we spoke about. The magnesium and calcium in liquid turf hardener help strengthen the plant's cell wall, making it harder for our pathogen to get in. Turfite Elite, which contains phosphite, which promotes rooting, meaning that the stronger the plant is overall, the more likely it is to be able to repel any hostile attack. Many of you will be familiar with Turfite as it was the first UK phosphite product and its ability to increase root production, but the recent addition of salicylic acid now triggers the plant's systemic acquired resistance, its own immune response mechanism. Graphs are never the best entertainment, but I think what makes this noteworthy is the date. This research began in 2007, albeit with a slightly different ratio for the products, which has since been tweaked. What makes this so important though, that this work began before many of the recent product revocations and before many other companies had it on their radars. This research has continued every year since and is still ongoing. Again a graph, but one that makes an important point. As the lines do not vary to any great degree, this indicates that the applied products are non-curative in the way that they work. This makes the mix non-pesticidal. Moving on to more recent times, with the 20-20-30 mix fully dialed in and now the addition of Mantle, the results are striking compared to the untreated control. And the final graph shows the autumn period that we referred to earlier in 2018, and you can clearly see the spike in disease activity between Christmas and New Year. And again, the 20-20-30 mix with Mantle kept the plots at or below 5% infection rate. And here's why this is becoming so important. If we think back as recently as 2017, we still had a wide range of products with different active ingredients from differing chemical families. We also had different modes of action, some for application as a preventative, some as a protectant, and the sadly missed curative action for spraying when visible signs of disease were present. If we move that on to 2021, see that there is a stark difference. Firstly, the number of products is far less, and therefore so are the active ingredients, but also the only remaining curative option has also gone. As turf managers, This means that we must now have a more proactive strategy towards disease management, right down to our cultural practices. So knowing that when we're in a period of low air temperatures with increasing humidity and leaf wetness, our disease pressure increases. We can use non-pesticidal mix, such as the 20-20-30 mix with Mantle that we've discussed. We can reduce the impacts of dew, both manually from brushing and switching, and also with the aid of dew dispersal products. If we do have to reach for a fungicide, we can increase its efficacy with a product such as PPT114, a product for another discussion. We can overseed with more disease-resistant grass species. The cultural work that we do in terms of organic matter control, coring, brushing, scarifying, so on, can reduce the pathogen's ability to thrive. And finally, one that may not be first in your mind, using disease prediction modelling so you can be ahead of conditions that we have spoken about, we can use products that not only stick your spray applications to the leaf, but ones that then prevent it from being washed off, known as rain fastness. Especially useful when our application windows are so few and far between, and you need to optimise your opportunity to apply. So the last point I'd make is about exactly that. Headland Amenity's weather tracking file can identify how many wet days, dry days and frost days that you have just by inputting some simple data. Again, a link to this will appear at the end and in the description below. If we take a look at October 2019, we can see that there are only 2 dry days for the whole of the month. So if we did get a chance to spray, it's in our interest to make sure that as much of it gets on the leaf and stays on the leaf as possible. Considering a spray drift reducer and sticker style product with the added benefit of creating a rainfast application with smaller droplet sizes so that more of your product hits the leaf and doesn't drift, may well be the missing piece to your non-pesticidal management program that you had not considered, and it may tip the balance in your favour. Thanks for watching, and we hope you found this to be of benefit. Here come the video links that I promised, and the links will also be in the description below.